So just a correction on that. I'm the ex-chair of the Commission, and I was going to introduce myself as Ron, the recovering regulator. Now, I don't want to talk about rebuilding trust. Of course that's important, but that's actually a discussion about a solution. I want to focus on the problem. What is the problem for which rebuilding trust is the solution? To find a real solution, we must first define the real problem. To borrow a term from theology, we need to identify the first cause, the cause beyond which no further explanations are required for the community's disaffection with energy. For 10 years, as you've heard, I chaired the Essential Services Commission in Victoria. The great strength of regulators like the ESC is that we regulated more than just the energy sector. For the next couple of minutes, I want to focus on the water sector. Back in those days, regulators, economists, consultants, bureaucrats marvelled at what they had created in the national energy market. They saw it as a thing of wonder. Theory and practice had finally been unified. To borrow another term, energy market reform was seen as the end of history. There was nothing more that needed to be done. The reformers were self-assured in their expectations that the water sector would be next. If the energy sector could be remade around the singular objective of efficiency, then so too the water sector. Others didn't see it that way. Water is different, they insisted. The reformers scoffed at these suggestions of difference. As far as they were concerned, water was just another commodity to be produced, sold, and consumed. But they were wrong. Water is different. It is not just another commodity. It is certainly true that the community cares about the commodity features of water, its price, quality, reliability. But the community also cares about how and where water is harvested and stored, how it is delivered and sold, and on the return journey, how and where the sewerage water is stored, treated, and finally, how and where it is discharged to the environment. But that's not all. The community also cares about how water is used and who gets to use it. They care about who owns the water and who gets access to it. The microeconomic reformers dismiss these concerns as either indulgences to be ignored or externalities to be addressed through regulation. Now, that may be so, but so what? It doesn't change the community's complicated, sometimes emotional, occasionally unpredictable, and potentially inconvenient relationship with water. The community has never seen water as a commodity just to be delivered and consumed. Water inescapably embodies community values and standards that are much greater than just its price, quality, and reliability. Arguing that water is just a commodity is like arguing that Mozart's Requiem, or any other great work, is just a series of sound waves. That is factually true. But just because it is true does not mean it is the whole truth. Music doesn't only exist in the physical realm, it also exists in the human experience. Music elicits a response in us. It makes us feel something, it makes us care about something. Sure, that might be a subjective reaction, but so what? It's a real and involuntary reaction. I don't choose to be awed by Mozart's Requiem. My experience of the music is as real as its sound waves. Just as the human experience of music cannot be separated from its physical characteristics, so too the human experience of water cannot be separated from its commodity characteristics. Anyone who contends otherwise will never be trusted by the community. Let me suggest that today, the community does not see energy as a mere commodity, simply to be produced, sold, and consumed. How energy is produced, delivered, and sold, who uses it, who controls it, why it is being used, all these things matter. They matter because just like water, energy now embodies community values and standards. As a community, we care about more than price, quality, and reliability. We care about our children, our neighbours, and the environment. We care about greed and generosity. We care about respect and we care about fairness. We care about how we and others are treated. We want to trust. These values are complicated, messy, and potentially chaotic. Often they are invisible until they manifest in the breach. But again, so what? It only goes to demonstrate the human element of energy is inseparable from its commodity features. To restore trust, we must go back to the first cause. We must recognise that energy is not simply a commodity. It embodies a suite of things that the community cares about. If the community cannot see those things given expression in their experience with energy, whatever that means, then they will resent and distrust anyone who has put them in that position. Energy companies, governments, regulators, bureaucrats, environmentalists, consumer advocates, all of us. We know stuff that makes us insiders. We are no longer ordinary members of the community. Our knowledge gives us authority, even if it doesn't feel that way. How often has someone said to you something like, "I don't understand all this energy stuff like you. Why is it so problematic?" That is your source of authority. That is your authority in action. But authority is not the same as moral authority, and having authority is not the same as having a mandate, or more precisely, the social mandate that is the wellspring of trust. Energy is different. It embodies community values and standards that the community is not seeing reflected in its experience with energy. And energy is different because it is an essential service. Put those differences together and we reach the first cause of community disaffection with energy. We reach the point beyond which no further explanations are required for the loss of trust. The first cause of community disaffection with energy lies in the dissonance between its essential consumption and the things consumers care about. Put simply, consumers do not choose to consume energy. This involuntarily binds them to a regulatory and commercial system that has failed to reconcile the things they care about. They are paying a lot to support a system that doesn't meet their expectations. They are paying a lot to support profits they don't see being earned fairly. Energy companies, governments, regulators, bureaucrats, advocates, all of us must recognise that even though we have authority, we will only gain moral authority and we will only be granted a social mandate, the provenance of trust, if our actions and our words reflect and are seen to reflect the community's values and standards. There is no room for compromise. Thank you.